cobra. We become panic and vigilant and try to run away. At the same time, the body resources are used up to face the situation. You find certain physiological changes, certain neural changes, certain endocrine changes. I'm not going details into that. But then, for instance, normal supply to the brain and normal supply to, digestion is reduced, and more supply of blood goes to the brain. More glycogen is supplied to the muscles. See, so that the person is ready to cope with the situation. So, but in normal, you see, the stress by itself is not bad. If it lasts for a short time, if it lasts, if it subsides after a short time, if he wakes up the person, makes him alert to the dangerous situation, and if the situation outside, is objective, that is, really threatening, then, and if the stress is not prolonged, if it doesn't last for too long. Now, there are numerous conditions in life which are called stressors. Some of these are loss of dear and near ones, illness, long periods of unemployment and consequent poverty, reduction of purchasing power due to inflation, meeting with accidents, strained relationships between husband and wife, parents and children, between neighbors, between boss and subordinates, long hours of work, burning midnight oil, depriving sleep, staying too long in noisy and polluted atmosphere, working under hot, humid environment, receiving conflicting instructions from the boss, working at odd hours. That people work not only during daytime but during evening shift and during rotation shift, fast life, and of course you students stress experience at the time of examination, isn't it? And there are major stresses and minor stresses. Major stresses, for instance, the panic people undergoes when natural hazards take place, like earthquake or tsunami or tornado or Katrina, or fire accidents, like that. So, so the stresses, there are stresses are many. Stresses are many. Some of which are stressful to all, and some of which are stressful to some and not so stressful to others. So, as the stresses are so many outside, it is very difficult. For instance, I will give you an example. That suppose you are working in the college. Now you are staying about 10-20 kilometers from here. You are coming by by your car, and you find that sometimes you get caught in the traffic jam, you see, and you are not able to reach there in time. So so some people react to that. No, they just cannot. That itself is a stress, is it? Or imagine people, you are standing in a queue, for buying something, okay, and you find some people, jumping the queue. You see, some people get really, they cannot tolerate, and they intervene and tell them why you are jumping the queue. So you see, they don't have the tolerance. You see, so what I mean is, stress by itself is not objective. There is a lot of subjective aspect to it. Now, even these kinds of, so a situation creates a need, and a need creates a pressure. But without any stress, our life would not be what it is today. It is not that life should be with problems. So, stress, we also call it as a problem. See, the question is how long the stress lasts when a person senses a real problem. If it does not long, and if wakes up or alert the person to problem, then it is healthy. It is an inbuilt safety mechanism. It energizes a person to take proper action. Let us say, for instance, when a person falls sick, he is in a state of stress, you see, and it is good to some extent. If he is not stressful, then in spite of this sickness, he may not take rest. He may run around, he may see that that problem aggravates. So a little stressful, obviously, then that should give him, that stress, you see, is good. That makes him that he should take rest, he should not move about, he should follow the advice of the doctors, he should take medicine, okay, he should cooperate in treatment, isn't it? So these are all the positive aspects. But then often, it happens, it overreacts. Suppose if one overreacts, and if the stress continues, then what happens? It affects everything. It affects his recovery rates, you see, recovery rates. It affects his immunity. It affects his cooperation. So, you see, even if they do the best medication, you will find. Let me give you an example. It happened. My one doctor whom I know very well here, he told me some days back, in an emergency, it seems 2 cases were admitted. Emergency cases. I mean, it was in the same place, in the same room. Okay, and all on a sudden, one case became very bad. So the emergency team attended, and then with all instruments, with all that, and they could resuscitate, they reverse, they could save that, But the other patient who saw this, it appears he collapsed, he died. You see, this happened, it seems. You get my point? So the amount of the stress. Now, the stress sort of, as I said, it is its source is psychological, psychical, not psychological, psychical. It is not, the source of stress is psychical, but then it becomes what you call physiological, you see. And I think the other day there was an exhibition on diabetes. You would have noticed one of the conditions cited as cause of diabetes is manasika sangarsham. That is called stress, you see. And you will find that in almost all major diseases of any of the system, cardiac, I think stress is one of the precipitating factor. Stress is one of the precipitating factor. You see, in neural system, gastroenterology, cardiac system, endocrinal system, all this. So if that stress can be minimized, you see, I think you can, physically you can do away with many illness. Now, let us see at the physiological level what are the, as I told you, generally we are not able to sense stress, you see. It should be through some indices. And when it talks of mental health, generally what we understand is in terms of certain mental